Hey everybody, my name is Ashley Stone and I'm coming to you from Louisville, Kentucky, and my favorite place to talk, which is the parking lot of Target. I'm a mom of 5, and so I just find so much peace in my car. I don't know about you, but I love to sit in my car. I wanted to share with you all today a little bit about my journey in network marketing. You know, most people, I'd say 99% of people who start in the network marketing industry quit very quickly, or frankly, they fail to even get started ever. They sign up, they're excited, and then they never do a darn thing. They maybe they sell it to their mom, their grandma, their product, and then they're usually gone between month 1 and 2. And that is just the name of the game in our industry. And so many people ask me, you know, is this a scam? Is this a scheme? Is network marketing a legitimate way to do business? And the answer is absolutely it is. So today I'm going to share, why do people fail then? Why do most people not make it within the industry? And actually, it's a very simple answer. And it's something that held me back for many, many years within my own success story. And that is consistency. You see, I started when I was 21 years old. I first heard about my company. My mom was hosting a little get together for my friend who had just started in the business, and she asked me to come that night and hear about the products in the company. And I did not want to go. I didn't want to be there, didn't want anything to do with it, but I went reluctantly. And when I went that night, I sat with my arms crossed and an attitude thinking, you're not going to sell me. But she absolutely did sell me. At the time, nobody was talking about ingredients and all of the things that were in products that we were using. And so I was so drawn to the ingredient policy of my company. And that is what made me say yes. But more than that, she asked a question that night that really made me think for the first time about what I wanted out of the next 5 to 10 years of my life. I was young. I had gotten married young, so I was already married. I already had the mortgage and the car payment. And she said, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? And I was honestly picturing like laying by the beach, retired at the age of 26. You know, I don't know what I was picturing. But then she had a follow-up question, which was, if you don't make any changes to what you're currently doing, where are you going to be in 5 years? And it was kind of like somebody reached up and popped my little dream bubble, because I realized that if I didn't change anything, I was still going to be sitting at the same cubicle desk that I was sitting at the time, you know, maybe making a little bit of extra money, but really not happy in my career path. She also asked the question, how long could you survive on your savings if something were to happen to your current income source or your family's current income source? And we had almost no savings at the time. So when she said that I could get involved for less than $100, didn't have to carry inventory, and that I could start to make money, I said, I'm in. I'm actually one of those rare people. I marched up to her after the presentation and I said, I'm going to join you in this. And I did. I signed up that night. Now, I would like to say that after that, I flew to the top of my company, but that is not my story. I actually spent the next 6.5 years at the first level within my company's pay plan, only making probably $250 to $700 a month. And it's not that I didn't want to move forward or go beyond that. It's that I simply did not work this business consistently, and I did not work it with enough effort. That's really all it boiled down to. But that's not what I told myself. I told myself that the reason why I wasn't successful was that I was too young. I had acne at the time, and so people wouldn't listen to me. I didn't know enough people. I didn't have a big enough network. I didn't have a college degree. I wasn't a doctor or anything fancy for people to give me credibility. So all of these stories that I was telling myself held me back for so long. And it wasn't until about 6.5 years into my business that I had a conversation with my dad, who is a successful business owner. And he said, why are you still holding on to this business when you're not making any money? How about you step up in our family business and you can actually make money? And I I went home that night so discouraged, and I remember reaching out to my upline within my company and saying, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm so tired of doing the same thing and I'm not moving forward. Like, is it just people that got in early? Is it just people that have credibility and a huge network that are successful in this? Like, should I just give up? And one of the women above me, she reached out to me and she said, listen, you say you've been in this company for 6.5 years. How many months out of 6.5 years have you actually presented to at least 30 people? And I was like, well, lots of times. And I'd present to 100 people if they would let me. And she said, no, I don't want to hear your excuses. I want to hear the number. Like, go back and track. And I was so stubborn and so sure that I actually went back and looked through my old calendars. Like, I was so stubborn. And much to my dismay, when I really started looking, I had only gotten in front of 30 people in a month's time, maybe twice, 2 or 3 times in my business, and really not even consistently. So when I went back to her, she said, well, that's how long you've been in the business. See, it doesn't matter how long you've had an ID number. It doesn't matter how long you have started something. If you've not been following the business plan, which is to present to at least 30 people, then you don't have a business. You have a hobby, and it has been paying you like a hobby. And so that was actually really freeing to me, because what that meant is that it wasn't my network, it wasn't my age, it wasn't all of these other things that I had told myself that was holding me back. It was numbers. It was a numbers game. I simply wasn't presenting to enough people. I simply wasn't staying consistent enough. I did not have enough discipline within me to have that daily consistency to do what it takes to get in front of those people. So I made a commitment. I said, you know what, for the next 3 months, I'm going to follow the system. Because honestly, I didn't feel like I could quit and walk away when I knew in my heart I had never actually really done what it took to have success. I had never actually followed the plan. And I knew if I quit now, I am always going to wonder, what if you had actually done what they said to do? What if you had followed the system? What if you had presented to enough people? What could have been different? And so I went to work. Within 3 months of staying consistent and actually getting in front of the right amount of people, everything changed. I moved up to the top 8% of my company, the top 2% of my company, and then went on to move up to the top 1% of my company. And it really, at that point, was really life-changing for my family. So it sounds simple, right? And it is simple, but it's not easy. Why? Because we have to get out of our own way. Most people, when you tell them get in front of 30 to 40 people and be consistent, they will say, well, sure, I would, but, or sure, I would, but this. But yet you're not actually willing to do what it takes. It's kind of like if you're going to push a boulder up the hill, it's going to take a lot of effort at first, but you have to be willing to start. You have to be willing to do what it takes to get that first month of your calendar full so that the momentum starts to build. You know, one of my favorite books is Take the Stairs by Rory Vaden. And in that book, he shares the illustration about a buffalo and a cow. And, you know, buffaloes are actually very smart, and cows are, I love cows, they're super cute, but they're not always the smartest. And he talks about when a storm takes place out in the open field, you know, out west where all the animals are out in an open field and a storm hits, that cows actually instinctively will start to run away from the storm and run away from the rain. But the problem with that is that cows are not very fast. And so as the storm starts to sweep along the plain, the cow begins to run, and it runs right alongside the storm because it cannot outrun the storm. So by running from it, it actually spends more time in the storm and in the rain and in the bad weather. Buffalo, on the other hand, are the opposite. When buffalo see a storm approaching, a buffalo will turn towards the storm and charge it head on. And because they do that, they also get hit by the storm, but they go through the storm at such a faster rate, and it's over with. They're out of the storm because they faced it head on. What about you? Are you a cow or are you a buffalo? What do you know that you need to do in order to be successful? And what are you avoiding? Are you avoiding the one thing that you need to do to be successful? And because of that, you continue to stay in the storm of doubt and fear and not being successful, not making a lot of money, frustration. And what if you instead chose to be a buffalo? You turned and faced the storm head on, and you said, if getting in front of 30 to 40 people and presenting my business is what it takes, I'm gonna do the hard thing, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to do that and get that over with so that I can be consistent, so that I can build a business. You see, it's not simple, but it is simple, but it's not easy. It's simple what we do. We just have to get out of our own way. So why do most people fail? Because most people will never do what it takes. Most people will never face that storm head on, even though they know what to do. See, we hear all the time, I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. You know what to do. Most people are just not really willing to do it. But the good news is, I'm not most people, and you don't have to be most people. Consistency is the key, and doing what it takes to get in front of the right amount of people. It's not magic, it's math. Once I embraced that philosophy, everything changed. And I just decided I was sick of being a big old cow. I was sick of running from what I knew would get me there. So what about you? Face your fears today. Do what it takes. What's one thing today that you can do to move your business forward? Go do it. Face it head on. Give it 90 days of consistency, and see what happens. Prove me wrong.